everybody. Hello. It's good to be here. Good to see you. Many of you know that I don't see very well. Well, I want to talk about what I do see tonight. I see a man who is corrupt. I see a man who is a crook. I see a man who is a Russian agent who colluded and stole the presidency from our friend Hillary Clinton. He then collaborated with his comrade, Mike. So Mike and Donald, don't hit the thing, Paul. Mike and Donald have been working diligently to squash our equal rights. I also see two other people, Chuck and Nancy. Yes. And Chuck and Nancy are now in positions of very high power. And they are also working quite diligently. And they're strategically collaborating so that they can push back on the Trump-Pence administration. They're also going to do some other good things for us, like pass the Equality Act. We are so lucky to have them on our side. One thing I know in terms of making good things happen is that when you are truthful and you're honest, that will always prevail. That will always win over cheating, lying, and corruption. So tonight we have Honest Chuck with us. Yeah. And in fact, this is his 15th consecutive time to attend this very HRC Gala dinner. That is amazing, just amazing. And so he's going to carry us across the finish line. He's been our leader, he's been our supporter, staunch, won't quit for us ever. And I'm so proud to introduce you to the United States Senator, Chuck Schumer.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. It is so great to be here once again on a great, great night. I want to thank the co-chairs, Greg Battaglia, Kristen Hurt, Gary Hilbert. Thank you, Paul. He always does a great introduction. And one more person to acknowledge, two more. My great friend, Jordan Roth, who has done so much to advance the LGBT cause throughout the theater and through his own personal activism, and the actress, the great actress, Amanda Stenberg, who has taught us so much about identity and empathy. And one more thank you. This is somebody who has been at the helm of HRC, been a close friend, a great leader, someone who never gives up and won't. He'll have a great impact in years to come, but the job he has done for HRC cannot be described in words. Let's put our hands together for Chad Griffin. Now, a lot's happened in the last year since I was here with you. Paul Manafort was indicted. Rick Gates was indicted. Michael Flynn was indicted. Roger Stone was indicted. Michael Cohen was indicted. I could keep going, but I only have 10 minutes. The state of New York, with a new state Senate majority, which you helped make happen, has already passed 2 bills expanding LGBTQ rights, a ban on hateful practice of conversion therapy, and gender, which finally gives our transgender people, the New Yorkers, the legal protections against discrimination. A shout out to Brad Hoylman, who helped make that happen. Oh, and by the way, there was that election in November. Democrats swept back to power in the House. We have the most diverse class of candidates in the history of the U.S. a record number of women, the first openly gay governor, and we forced Paul Ryan to hand over the gavel to Nancy Pelosi. So we finally have a check on this awful, mean, and often vicious president. We saw that check recently. Nancy and I stood firm together. Mr. President, you're not getting that wall. Not today, not tomorrow, not in the future. And that will be the first of many places we block you from your pernicious activity. Now, on a personal note, Iris and I have had a great year. Our older daughter, Jessica, and her husband, Michael, had a little baby. I'm coming to you as a grandpa. And my daughter, Allison, married a beautiful young lady, Elizabeth, on November 18th, and they are living happily together. And I want to make a point how when you do things in the public realm, it benefits every one of us personally. So I graduated from college in 1971. And I didn't know, a lot of you weren't born in 1971. I didn't know gay people who were out. Back then, almost no one was out. But in the 80s and 90s, every few months, I'd meet someone who was a friend in college, and they'd come up to me and say, you know, I was gay, I was a lesbian when we were in college, but I couldn't tell anyone. But now that I'm out, I'm a so much happier, more fulfilled person. I even saw that with my seatmate in Congress. I sat in the banking and the judiciary committees throughout my 18 years in the House next to Barney Frank. And once Barney came out in 1988, he was a much more effective and happy legislator. He was. Still had that nice acerbic wit, but he was. So these experiences motivated me to come out for gay marriage before most politicians. At the time, of course, I didn't know that my daughter was gay. Now fast forward to a restaurant in San Francisco a few years ago. At dinner, Allison told us she was gay, Iris and I. I had no idea. After dinner, Iris asked me, well, how do you feel? I said, let me sleep on it. The next morning, here's how I felt. She's exactly the same person I loved so much before. But I loved her even more, because she had carried the knowledge of her sexuality with such common sense strength. Now, let's fast forward to their wedding. Allison and Biz are planning to live their lives together with the same freedom that Michael and Jessica, my older daughter and son-in-law, have. No, the old constraints on finances, whether they have kids, where to live, where to work, are gone because of gay marriage. And so I feel because of gay marriage and LGBTQ progress, I did something early on because I thought it was the right thing to do, but now so many can live richer and happier lives as Allison and Biz can. And that is a great example of the progress we've made and a lesson to every single legislator and person in power to do the right thing. Right now, Allison and Biz's happiness is being repeated hundreds of times each day in every corner of the country. So I wanted to share that little personal note with you. That doesn't mean we're home free. There's a lot of progress that we still have to make, but it'll come if we work hard. It took millions of Americans, hundreds of years, to build this awesome country of fair laws and opportunity. Americans had to fight and protest and agitate. They inspired our country to weed out injustice and move ever closer to our highest ideals. In order to achieve equality and fairness for everyone in the LGBTQ community, We must follow in their footsteps. The women who gathered at Seneca Falls, the peaceful marchers who crossed a bridge in Selma, and the brave gay and transgender New Yorkers who 50 years ago at a place called Stonewall taught the country the power of resistance. In this moment of anxiety about the direction of our country, I want to remind everyone here of one assailable truth. America does change for the better, but its capacity for change in speed and scope remain up to us. We cannot let up. We must continue to push and prod, to march, to vote, to use our voice, not just for our future, but for our families, our children, and all those who come after us. Thank you. God bless you. On to more progress for LGBT equality. Full equality, full equality. We will fight for it till we get it. Thank you, everybody. I love you.
She's been seen on TBS, ABC, and Logo and performs all over the country. Please welcome our auctioneer for tonight, comedian and friend of HRC,